So today I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on how my builds are feeling after the patch, my kind of overall thoughts on the patch in terms of how it affected all of the weapons, and then weapon balancing aside, the kind of bad or ugly stuff that came with the patch. But I guess starting off on a bit of a lighter note, kind of going into how my builds are feeling. Now, we definitely did feel the nerfs, 100%, but the builds definitely feel like they're in a really good spot. I feel like the Ice Gauntlet build definitely felt the nerfs a lot harder than the Fire Staff build did. The change that I ended up making to Pillar actually worked out quite well because they also buffed that ability to make it do quite a bit more damage during this patch. So although we lost a bit of overall damage on the weapon, we kind of make up for it in the form of Pillar of Fire. And then on top of that, I really didn't think they needed to buff the Rapier, but they went and did that anyways. So we are hitting some pretty disgusting numbers on people now. We already were before the patch, so just adding on top of that to where we can pretty reliably one combo people after a parry if they aren't in heavy armor, which is really nice and really helps out in those outnumbered fights to finish off targets easier. The patch also brought a couple of buffs to the musket, the spear, and the bow, as well as the hammer. But the thing I've been noticing the most in the couple of outpost rushes that I've played is the musket feels very strong now. If you have just a couple of musket players, you're going to see all throughout these clips me dodging musket fire the entire time. If you get hit just a couple of times with that weapon, you're pretty much dead. I'm going to have to play with it a bit more to see kind of where it stands because I haven't been able to play a ton of matches, but that weapon definitely does feel very strong now. The bow was already strong, so that as well is doing a lot of damage. The hammer though got a pretty nasty buff, and while I feel like the weapon did need a little bit of damage added to it, because not the only, but a majority of the time you see it paired with the Great Axe, which was already one of the strongest weapons in the game, and pretty much received buffs because it didn't receive any nerfs and got some passives fixed. The Great Axe hammer build is even more of a nuisance than it was before. If you get caught in a hammer stun, you're pretty much dead in that stun lock combo. So it makes it a little bit more interesting to fight those builds because you really have to try and make as little mistakes as possible. Now, when it comes to the gauntlet, as I mentioned, we did feel the nerfs a little bit harder on this side than we did on the Fire Staff, and it actually came in the form of the Entomb nerfs. I honestly did feel like it reduced quite a bit of damage, and the nerfs are, I feel, warranted. The ability is definitely more situational now, and you have to be very aware of when you're going to use it. But Entomb lost a ton of health, so basically, instead of being able to kind of sit in it for a couple of seconds and make a decision, as you can see right there, it gets destroyed really quickly. So you have to use it in situations where you have your other cooldowns up to be ready to use those once your Entomb gets broken. And then on top of that, they seem to have broken the Healing Tomb perk on the gear perk. So it's kind of making it a little bit annoying to run because on top of the ability itself already getting nerfed quite a bit, we also don't get the heal. So I'm sure they'll fix it, but as of right now, it does make it a little bit annoying to run. But as I mentioned, damage-wise, the build still feels solid. The weapon did take a bit of a nerf to the ultimate chill passive, which was kind of the bread and butter of the build. We lost 10% on that, but as I mentioned earlier, the Rapier did get buffs as well, so it kind of balances out, and we end up kind of doing more damage than we did before. Same with the Fire Staff, the playstyle, and kind of how you set up combos on this weapon is going to remain the same. So no changes really need to be made to either of the builds, which I'm really happy about. But hopefully they can get the issue with the healing tomb fixed, because I do want to run this weapon a little bit more, and I want to do some more kind of helpful or tip videos to kind of help you guys get better at using the abilities and the combos themselves. But jumping into the ugly side of the patch. If you guys took a chance to read that dev blog that I posted the other day and read this paragraph, specifically this part right here that kind of outlines the issues with the game right now, where it raised an issue to where any weapon with a status effect is causing 10% more bandwidth than usual, which is obviously going to cause a huge load on the server. And they also mentioned that it's not exclusive to the Void Gauntlet. So once you get into matches like Outpost Rush, things like this start to happen. And it's not something that's exclusive to Hammer or the Brutes. It's just once you get into a 40-player match, once everybody starts casting abilities, almost every single weapon has status effects on it. So it starts to make the game literally unplayable. Can't control your character. Abilities don't go off, or they'll go off but not actually do the effect and go on cooldown. It just makes the whole experience not really enjoyable to play. And it's why I've been taking just a little break from the game. We're not jumping ship or anything. I actually genuinely do enjoy the game, and I'm just kind of taking a moment to wait for them to kind of iron out these patches, because as I've mentioned quite a few times, I do this for fun. I like to do and play things that I find fun, and the game is just not that fun right now. So I'm still going to be streaming here and there, probably doing some PvE stuff. But in terms of PvPing at the moment, I'm going to be trying to wait until they get some fixes out. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's not all bad. Aside from the bugs that the patch has introduced, I actually do like a few of the changes that they've brought to the patch. The addition of adding all of the trading posts together makes it a lot more convenient to buy items on the post wherever you are. Some of the crafting changes were kind of iffy, but some of them were good, like the ones they made to the Arcana and crafting potions is really, really helpful. The bonuses and incentives they add to flagging, I feel, is going to really rejuvenate the game, because that was the thing that was kind of lacking once people got to 60. There was really no point to flag unless you were kind of in a group running missions, faction missions. But outside of that, you really didn't find anybody flagged anywhere. But they've added it to where you have both a gathering luck bonus and just a regular like item finding luck bonus. So that means you're going to end up finding a lot more people just out and about in the world flagged, which means there'll be more open world PvP, which will just be more enjoyable for the game, in my opinion. So I'll definitely be still trying to upload videos here and there. It's not going to be as frequent as I have been uploading, because as I mentioned, there's just quite a few issues right now. But I do hope that you guys can just bear with me until they kind of get some of these issues resolved. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.